spring, we are somehow bringing the moon year and the sun year together, meaning we want to kind of reunite the sun and the moon, meaning we want to fix cosmology in some way.
Fix cosmology. Have a also look to the beginning of what he says. Shamor lahat madat hashkacha shinye nisan chodesh ha'aviv. What does he mean by hat madat hashkacha? Al yedei ivorei ha'chodshim v'hashanim. Why does he express himself like that?
I see it as a connection actually between that phrase.
Yes.
And Shamor and
yes,
Kiaha.
Correct. He's explaining the word Shamor.
Yes, but
right.
I think that it's specifically like he's trying to figure out why it specifically says Shamor, and explaining it with Bahat Madat Hashkacha by saying that that the Shamor is trying to point to a specific interaction between Hashem and us, with people. That the way that you're shamor is specifically by having that human interaction, with the sheikavnu b'hem, meaning that we're now involved with making sure that Pesach falls at the same time of the year every year.
And what is this being involved? Very good.
And
what is
so
this being involved?
And well,
who is involved?
Because we're doing that, it automatically ties in with Hutziacha. It's the personal. It's that's our way of seeing that I'm involved with the Yetziat Mitzrayim.
But who are doing the Iborei Hashanim?
We're doing it.
We?
The Chachamim.
You and me? The
Chachamim.
Right. What they need to do is to sit down, and in these days this was far from easy, and to make all sort of astronomical calculations to make sure that this Nisan will continue to fall in the spring. Right? Today, we no longer do this because we have fixed the calendar. That's very interesting. Because I believe that the fixing of the calendar, hear well what I say, was the undermining of the Jewish tradition. It was the undermining of the Jewish tradition. Why? Anybody can answer me?
Do you pay attention anymore?
You don't have to pay attention anymore. Meaning to say that what the Seforno, I think, is saying is this. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell us, you go by a lunar year, and I will sometimes tell you to go by the solar year? Well, let's put it in very clear terms. You know why? I want to complicate your lives. I want to complicate your lives because now, because I've created this problem, you have to sit down and make all these calculations, and you have to think how to do that and when to do that and so on. Right? I'm saying it a little different. What the Seforno is saying here, in my opinions, is that the great purpose of the Jewish tradition is to complicate life. And the moment that we straightened it out by making a fixed calendar, something was lost. The loss is that it became less complicated. It became less complicated because now I don't have to make these calculations anymore. The whole thing was fixed, I think, by Rabban Gamliel. Gamliel. Am I right? Also Rabban Gamliel, right? Sorry, Hillel. Sorry, Hillel. What does that mean that the Torah, according in those terms, Hashem, is looking to create complications?
Why?
I'm asking what it means that here we are being told that the Jewish tradition is a tradition which is built on creating complications. Instead of making it easier, to make it more difficult. which I think is the basis for the whole of the Jewish tradition. Because look around in Chazal, look around in the Gemara, look around in the Mishnah, and what do you see? The art of the Jewish tradition, I've said this before, is to create a complication or a problem just when you have solved something. Or to say it a little different, the Jewish tradition is the art to find a problem for every solution.
That's good.
But then the question is, why? And what are the implications of this? Because keep on looking around. There is no more strange religion than the Jewish tradition, which indeed constantly creates problems without an end. To the point which for the outside world looks like absolutely crazy, and I remember that I consider to be totally crazy, and that is that I'm even being told exactly how much matzah I have to eat on Pesach night, and then I have this incredible and most important machloket between Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, the Chazon Ish, how much grams of matzah I have to eat. This is, forgive me, between brackets, totally ridiculous. But it is typically the Jewish tradition, because we are looking for complications. I have a feeling, and I say this with the greatest amount of respect, that if Rabbi Moshe Feinstein writes this, then the Chazon Ish makes sure that he will disagree and write something else. And on one side, this may sound very strange, but I think it is the basis on which the whole of the Jewish tradition stands. The diktukim, the details, the pratim, every little thing becomes an issue. Even how you put on your shoes and how you tie your lace, all of this, lace, and all of the other matters are suddenly becoming major issues. On some of them, you have even to give up your life in case the enemy will force you to do exactly the reverse, only to stand in your way. This is most strange.
The first two examples that you brought, this example of Ibur Shanim and the second example of how much matzah to eat on Pesach, they're both in reverse, because we find that this setting the calendar solved the problem, whereas setting the amount of matzah that you have to eat caused the problem, because everybody knew how much a kazait was without measuring it before these two Gdolei Ador had an argument about how much matzah to eat. Whereas and here this has solved the problem, because maybe this is the ideal. Maybe the ideal is to come to a solution that will solve the problem, and so that we don't have any more. That we should be in tmimut.
Good point. But remember one thing: the Torah, after all, the original halacha is that we should not have a straightened out and fixed calendar. Yeah, the ultimate goal is not to have this. When it got so problematic, especially when we went into Galut and we had to work things out, so we straightened it out, basically. We mainstreamed it, if that's the right word, right? But somewhere the Torah is saying, if you really want to do it the right way, I want you still to continue every year or every few years to make this calculation in according to the Chachamim, right? There, in other words, it is something which was not solved. Torah probably didn't want to solve it, only for later pragmatic reasons Chachamim did, right? But the original idea, at least that's the way how I read the Seforno, is keep busy with this, break your neck over it, sit down, get a headache from it, because you need to find out how you make these calculations, which for these days were very complicated. And then, compared on the other side to the Chazon Ish or Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, in that sense of the word, they are similar, because both are unsolved. and both should stay unsolved.